great day, attractive thinker, and welcome back to another episode of Beyond the Break. Give yourself a fighting chance. Dr. Toni Hatton here, your identity coach and get to the root specialist at theattractivethinker.guru. This is where we support new and aspiring entrepreneurs with mental healing and mental strength and mindset maintenance so that you can give birth to the desires of your heart because it takes strength to do that. It takes strength to bring your ideas into fruition and stick to them and do what you said you're going to do and create those dreams, ideas, and desires that have been hidden inside of your heart for so long. We are here to support you and we have a word for you today. Welcome, my co host, Tichet Bradshaw, to another episode of Beyond the Break. Give yourself a fighting chance.
Happy Mindset Monday, everybody. We made it. We made it through another week of power. We get to do what we've never done, go where we've never gone, and have all that we deserve to have in this lifetime. It's a great day to be alive.
It is a fantastic and amazing day to be alive. Attractive thinkers, you always hear me say, I trust that you have your copy of the Attractive Thinker Transformational Experience on Amazon. This 726 full color hardcover copy is phenomenal in your transition and in your journey, in your creation as an entrepreneur, because you're going to hit some roadblocks. See, sometimes you hear people say, well, you may hit some roadblocks, or you may encounter this or encounter that, or some little bit of fear, maybe a little bit ahead on the journey. I'm here to tell you that you will. You will encounter fear. You will encounter a regret. You might say, well, maybe I shouldn't have stepped out too far. Maybe this dream is too big, or maybe I, just express myself a little bit too much, or put myself out there, or believed in myself a little bit too much. No, we're here to tell you that you're right, that the dream is real, that you're right for taking the risk and you're right for taking the steps to manifest your heart's desire because you deserve it. It's your dream, whether you want to become an author or launch your own business idea or transform your life or whatever that might be. The transformational experience that you'll receive in this attractive thinker experience on Amazon, it's a game changer. No matter what page you turn to, you're going to find something that's going to support you in reaching your goal. It's going to support you in staying mentally strong. This is why we want to talk to you today about this word. This word that we're going to share with you today. It's amazing. It's a game changer. You know why? Because when you are looking for an answer for something, when you feel stuck or you feel lost on your journey or you're indecisive and you're not sure what decision to make, should I go to the right or should I go to the left? Should I write this book or should I sing this song, or should I launch the business idea, or should I start a fashion line, or should I travel the world, or should I transform my life? Should I switch around something, move around something? Should I move? Should I change neighborhoods or relationships or whatever that might be? When you're looking for an answer to these things, you're not looking for something physical. You're looking for a word. You need an answer. If think about that, an answer. How do we receive answers? In words. Of course, they can come in all different kinds of ways, but there's a word, a specific word. When people go to church, what are they looking for? A word. When you're searching online and you're Googling things or you're running through YouTube, what are you looking for? A word, an answer, something that's going to address where you are. I'm saying this because I want you to understand the power of a word. Not the power of words, but the power of a word. One word can shift you from pain to purpose. One word can change your perception from viewing yourself as a failure to viewing yourself as a champion. One word can do that. That's the power of a word. And this word that we have to share with you today is going to do just that. Tisha, talk to us about, maybe there were some times in your life where just one word changed the game for you.
Absolutely. Sometimes, really, that's all we need is one exposure of clarity. When we have clarity on some things, it put things into its proper perspective. And when you put things into a proper perspective and you can see things from a bigger plane or from a bigger picture, you kind of don't make it as big of a fear as you normally would, or you put it in the wrong perspective and you think it's a greater risk than it is, or you think it's a greater reward if you put it in the right perspective. But when you have clarity on something, you can see how the reward and the risk go together, right? And you can see how things are not always bad. You can look at life and see how your most greatest, what you call failure, may have actually been the reason for your greatest success, right? Because sometimes we think we want a thing and we're going on our journeys in life and we think our journeys are supposed to look a specific way. A lot of us, we build life externally. We say we want to have this, that, and the other externally. I want to live in this address. I want to work at this place. I want to have this business. I want to drive this car. I want to have this family. I want to have this type of clothing. I want to look like this and have this body and this face. We have all of those things, that ideas that we want to identify with, because identity is everything. What we attach our identity to makes a difference in the world. But when we start going inward, when we start seeking the inner man and we start building life internally, meaning with peace, with clarity, intuition, with knowledge, with understanding, with wisdom, when we start building with meaning, purpose, and power, when we start building with those things, our perception of the outside of life changes. And when our perception of the outside of life changes, everything else does too, because you start responding differently. When you get clarity about a situation, your response changes in the midst of that clarity. Where you might have responded to a situation, and I'll give you an example. Let's say, for an example, you were getting evicted from your home. When you were getting evicted from your home, before you got the clarity, then you played the woe is me and why do I have to lose? And you went through the whole I lost, and the ego got bruised a little bit, because it's like it feels like a failure. You have an idea that you failed somewhere, or you made the wrong decision, or something happened, or you might even feel cursed, or you might go through the feeling of when it rains, it pours, I can't have nothing. All these things come to the surface when you have a victim or victor mentality. But let's say for that point you had a victim mentality, so victimizing thoughts come to the surface. But when you start getting clarity and you start shifting to the inner man, that victorious way of thinking and the habits that come with that victorious way of thinking then comes to the surface. So then you have that same situation where you're being evicted from your home, and you look at it and you, instead of saying, oh, I lost, you're saying it's time to level up. It's time to get better. It's time to make a move. It's time for change. Because had they not evicted me from here, I would have never discovered this over here. And so we can't get so caught up in a situation that you think that that situation is what it is. You take it at face value. It has nothing to do with the eviction. It has everything to do with what comes to the surface. It has everything to do with the power that gets exposed in the midst of what's happening. So because that person put you out, it exposed some stuff in you. You saw how strong you were. You saw what you were really made of. When you lose that, when you get to a place of losing everything, you really see what you're made of. You see what you made of when you're broken, open, exposed, and vulnerable, and all your stuff comes falling out. You see what you made of. Well, congratulations at that point, because now you get to build your life based on what you're made of and not what you was identifying with externally. You get to see what's inside of you. When life forces you to change, don't be mad at that. Don't regret that. Don't resent that. When life forces you to make a change, know that you owe it to yourself to see it through. Why did they fire me? Why did they dump me? Why did they change? Why did they switch up on me? Why did they talk about me? Why did they steal from me? Why did they do this? Why did they take from me? Instead of having it with the victimizing ideas, have it to the victorious ideas and say they took it because they saw something. They fired me because they saw it was something in the atmosphere that said, I have to move. I have to change. I have to come up. That right there that I was trying to be stuck in was not enough. It is time to shift. And when it's time to shift in your life, when you start going inward, when you take your eyes off of the external shifts first, the situations, the circumstances, you take your eyes off that and you start going inward and you start applying meaning and purpose to everything, you start seeing that the face value of what's going on is not really much. You start seeing that the whole game of it all, you start seeing that the whole game of it all, that there was a bigger system that was in place. When you apply meaning to something, you get more out of a situation than what just was presented.
Yes.
An eviction of anything wasn't just presented to you. An opportunity to go to establish a new life, a new surroundings, a new environment was presented to you. It's all in a matter of how you see it. And clarity is the only thing that will give you that. When you have that clarity of a situation, it will give you, it will either make you or break you. Clarity will allow you to see whether you are a victim or a victor. And a lot of times, if you have the right clarity of a thing and you see yourself for the strongness of you that you are, and you see that you are an attractive thinker, you see that you are a victor, you are a trailblazer, a pathfinder, a groundbreaker, right? You have the ability to push through things that would have normally killed people, right? And so you then get the idea that you're not letting anything stand in your way. Just because you can't have this does not mean you can't have nothing. You're saying that, okay, if I can't have this, then perhaps everything is being offered to me. That's the type of ideas that you have to have when you gain clarity of the right thing. Because sometimes you can get exposed to something and it not be the right thing, Dr. Toni. You can go and say, okay, I want to have this and I want to do that. And then you go and you do that thing and you realize that might have not have been the best decision. Don't resent that because it's not the end. It's only the end when you give up. As long as you have breath, you have the ability to shift, change, move, grow, whatever it is you desire in that moment. As long as you don't give up, as long as you don't stop. You know, they have a saying when we doing day trading, stocks, options, whatever, you don't really lose until you sell out, right? I have gotten in so many stocks that has plummeted, but then I didn't sell out because I had a hunch. I had intuition, right? I traded a lot with intuition and it worked out for my good. Where you'll see it drop first, but then all of a sudden it ends up going higher than it was before I got in it, right? I didn't sell out when I was at a loss. That's the thing. You don't always have to sell out when you are at a loss. You have to assess the situation. Is it really a loss? Or are you just dropping off the unnecessary things that didn't need to be in your life? Did you really lose? Or did you lose the stuff that wasn't supposed to be attached to you in that next level? See, that next level require you to be a certain way. You can't carry them limited ways of thinking, the negative self-talk into the next level. So all of that stuff had to be plucked off, but you wouldn't have plucked it off if you didn't go through that situation. So going through those situations caused you to pluck off limiting beliefs. It caused you to pluck off generational curses. It caused you to pluck off things that you wouldn't have wanted to have in this new life of peace that's been calling you. That level of peace that's been calling you require you to know who you are on the inside, and you can't know who you are in the inside if you're so busy, so focused on external building. We have to build internally and allow that to let it shape the external. And so when you get clarity of who you are at rock bottom and you start making decisions based on who you are, what you feel is important, what you know grows, right? That can shift and change, right? You start getting the right type of perception, but you still remain open because, again, growth will change your perception, right? You start getting the idea of who you are sometimes by knowing who you are not. Sometimes you don't know who you are right at the forefront, Dr. Toni. Sometimes it takes you knowing who you are not. I know I'm not this. I know I'm not worthy to stay in a place where I'm being disrespected. I know I'm not worthy to stay in a place where I have to suppress who I am.
Mm-hmm.
I am worthy of being respected. I'm worthy of being cherished and nourished. I'm worthy of being honored.
Mm.
My thoughts matter. My feelings matter. My ideas, they matter.
That's right.
My wants, my desires, they matter. Who I am matter. My personality matter. My words matter. My desires matter, and they don't have to be suppressed to fit into any narrative anybody else has. When you have clarity of who you are, you will not suppress yourself to another person's narrative just to fit into some sort of equation that requires you to become a limited version of yourself. You would never do that when you have clarity.
Mm-hmm.
So it takes one word, and that one word for me in this particular segment is clarity. Now, we might have some more words coming up. Back to you, Dr. Tony.
Attractive thinker, this is your word for today. I want you to have your attractive thinker notebooks handy. You are, I just assumed you already had them out because we say this every week. You have to have your attractive thinker notebook handy to capture these gems. This is powerful. Words are powerful, and the words that you're hearing right now, I want to share something with you. Now, when we talk about words, this is what the dictionary has to say. Because see, this is your word for today, but I want you to understand the impact of words. You know, Tichet and I, we've said this down through the years. Sometimes you can hear something over and over and over, and it loses its effect because we're not going deeper with it. But I want you to really understand what's being shared here today. So the dictionary says words are, for example, one or more spoken sounds that function as the principal character of meaning. Sounds, words are sounds. When we speak, with what you're hearing right now, I'm speaking sounds, but to Shet, I'm not just making sounds with these words, I'm just not articulating. When I speak, when we speak, attractive thinker, when you speak, you're speaking not just sounds, but that sound is engulfed with your desire. It is engulfed with your intent. It is engulfed with your belief and how you feel. So you're not just speaking and people hear sound. That's why when you are seeking an answer and you hear a word and it changes everything inside of you, because that word wasn't just a sound, it was full of healing, it was full of answers, it was full of intent, it was full of exactly what you needed, and it touched you on a deeper level. If it's just words, then we can hear them and it not have an effect on us. But words have an effect on you when you hear them, because they're going deep into your spirit. They're resonating with your heart's desire. They're touching, they're addressing that pain that's on the inside. That's the power of a word, and this is your word for today. I want you to understand that. Now, if you have your attractive thinker note, your attractive thinker experience handy, I want you to turn it to page 551, okay? Now, 550, page 551 talks about the ATG six senses, the attractive thinker generation six senses. Now, there's one called hearing. That's not the first sense, but it's one of the senses of an attractive thinker. It's called hearing. It says hearing is how we believe, it's how we conceive, and it's how we receive. And then it talks about, it goes deeper into hearing and why what you hear is so important. Now, when I say you're hearing, it directs what you believe and conceive. It's how you conceive your gifts and your dreams. It's something that you heard that made you desire what it is that you're desiring. It's something that you heard that made you believe in it or not believe in something. So that's the power of words. But I want you to understand that we can be tripped up by our words. We can be scared by words. We can move forward in our lives when we hear words. We can fall back. Words can cause us to fall back and retreat from the dream, from the idea. Belief. Uh, Hearing one word can cause you to believe in something that you've doubted for years. Uh, People tend to lose hope and doubt and fear and fall back and let go of the dream due to words. due to words. Nothing happened. Nobody touched them. Nobody did anything. They didn't go anywhere, but they heard a sound that was engulfed with emotion and energy and meaning. And it got in. See, you can hear a lot of words. You don't have to let them all in. It's when you let them in that they begin to manifest in your life and affect what it is that you're doing. We have to not just hear words. See, in order for things to manifest, in order for your dream to manifest, in order for you to finish writing that book that you've been talking about for years, you have to not just hear this word today, but you have to receive it. And then after you receive it, that's where the real work happens. After you receive it, you have to hold on to it, because it's that word that you receive that's going to get you through the challenges of the gift, of the dream, being fulfilled. So once you hear it, and you receive it, and then you hold on to it, then you have to use it. How do you use? You might say, well, Dr. Toni, how do I use this word that I'm hearing today? When you're faced with a challenge, you go back to this word that you heard today and you apply it to the challenge. So, for example, if I heard a word, and I've heard many words down through the years that pulled me out of darkness, I heard the word, the light came on for me, and I felt energized again. I felt back to life again. I felt hopeful again from hopelessness, and I felt like I could make it again. I felt like I was strong again. I felt like I could endure. I felt like I could overcome. I felt like I wanted to live. How can one word take you from hopelessness to being hopeful? How can one word take you from death's door, feeling like throwing your hands up and I'm done, to actually being excited about life in the same moment? That's the power of a word. If a word can do that, we hear the word when we first heard it. That's the initial stage. You heard it. And then you said yes, yes, and you received it. When you say yes, you open your heart. When you say yes and you're excited, you opened up your heart to receive that word that you just heard. You say, yes, that's true. Or yes, I believe that. What do you think you're saying? You're open. Those are key words to getting in your heart. That's how you open the door to your heart when you say yes. And you're excited. You're using the emotion and the power of your heart, and you're saying words, and you're letting things in. So now that you've received the word, it's in your heart. Now you have to hold on to it. Just because you received a word doesn't mean you're not going to face challenges. Just because you received a word doesn't mean things are going to flow the way you anticipate or expected them to flow. No, you received the word for times like these, for when it doesn't look like what you believed. Now you have the word. Anytime you have, think about this for a moment. If I told you that I have $1 million for you in this royal looking, gold, shiny, shimmering, blinging looking suitcase, and it's at a bank, and the owner of the bank came in special for today just to hold this for you. I gave them your name. All you have to do is get there. You're excited. What I just said to you has already affected you before you even received the suitcase with the $1 million, because you received what I said. You trusted what I said. Now, on your way to the bank to get this money, you enter into a traffic jam. Does that negate the fact that that money is sitting there waiting on you? Is that really going to stop you from getting there to get that money? No. What you'll do is you'll sit in the traffic jam and you'll inch along, and then when you find a way to get off, you'll get off and be rerouted to the same destination, because you believed what I said. You're holding on to this word that you heard. That's the power of a word that you're hearing today. This is your word for today, attractive thinker and visual encourager. So when you have a word, it does not change just because you're going through something or you have to face something after you heard the word. Sometimes down through the years, to shut, I would hear a word and it resonated with me and I received it and I was excited about it and I was hopeful. I knew that I could overcome and accomplish what I was working on because I had this word. And then a challenge came. And as soon as the challenge come, my emotions and that inner voice began to speak. See, I told you that wasn't going to happen. See, I told you that it wasn't going to work out like that. I told you this was going to be hard. I told you you would have to put in more effort. I told you they weren't going to support you. I told you that you were reaching too far. I told you that this wasn't for you. I told you this dream wasn't going to manifest. I told you you couldn't be a business owner. How are you going to be a business owner and handle all of this responsibility and be successful and have a family and have your dreams come true and all of that? See, one challenge can make all of that inner voice regurgitate into your spirit and just cover up that word that you heard and just received. It's not that the word is not there. It's that you chose to believe in more in the challenge than in the word that you heard. So, how do you take this word that you're hearing today and apply it after this message? Because you're going to face challenges, they come to make you strong. Do you know the challenges? This is a new perception on the challenges for you, attractive thinker. And we talk about that in the book as well. The challenge comes to fortify the word that you heard. When you first hear the word and you receive the word, it hasn't grown roots yet. It was just planted. It has no roots. So anything that doesn't have roots, when the winds come, it could be blown away. So challenges come to fortify that word in you. I'm a witness that if you go through enough in life, you will believe that word no matter what. Because every challenge pushed that word, the seed of that word, down into your heart, and you kept growing and growing those roots and believing and planting. And after a while, the challenges are no more challenges. The same thing that appears to be a challenge to someone else is nothing but life for you. It's just how it is for you. It's just an experience that you have to experience in order to get to what you want. So you've grown from these challenges presenting themselves to you and overtaking you and you're just so distraught and so lost and so broken. No, that's beginning stages of growth. You're not there anymore. After you've allowed that word to be planted and take root in your heart, now you can face life because you're holding on to the word. And now you're not just holding on to it, it's holding on to you. And now you're using it when challenges come. You say, no, I got a word that I'm an author. No, I got a word that this book is going to be on the shelf. No, I got a word that this business is necessary. So what do? You use the word to overcome the challenge. And I guarantee you, attractive thinker and visual encourager, when you confront your challenges with the word, they will disappear. They lose their power. They no longer have a grip on you. They can no longer stop you. They lose their power. Anything that loses its power cannot stop you. It can no longer stop you. It doesn't have the power. It doesn't have the strength, the fortitude, the grip. It doesn't have the grip to stop you like it used to have. Usually, when you're presented with a challenge, you say, "You know what? Never mind. I don't even know what made me think that I could do this anyway. I don't know why I was dreaming so big anyway." No, 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 no. You've grown. Now you're strong. Challenge what? Challenge where? Challenge who? Because you got a word. Tichet, talk to us because I saw you writing. I know you have something to say over there.
I want to tell for everybody listening out there, a lot of us are just one word away from
Mm,
the life-changing
mm,
situation that we need.
mm,
One word away. And
mhm,
I'll give you some examples. Some of you have been holding on a word to a diagnosis
mm,
that you may need to let go and hang on to the word of healing,
mm,
right? The possibility of healing. So, what word you hold on to and what word you let go matters,
mm,
right?
mm,
And so, you might be holding on to a word somebody might have said, "I love you," but not shown it, right? They had the words, but not the energy. You have to watch that. That word has to match that energy, right? And so you're holding on to them saying I love you in the past, but even though they're not showing it, you're holding on to that word.
Mm-hmm.
And so you're allowing that word to stay there without that energy. And so now you need to hold on to the word I love myself.
Mm-hmm.
I love myself enough to know when someone loves me or not. I love myself enough to know that I am not, I should not be putting up with being treated less than a human being. Sometimes people just can't even treat you like you are a human being. Just the basics
Mm.
of being a human being. Why do we have to tell people to
Mm.
treat me like I'm a living, breathing, thriving human being?
Mm.
And if we have to tell you to treat us like we are human beings, then you never saw my value anyway. So why would you hold on to somebody who never saw your value?
Mm.
Loving yourself is knowing your value. No matter where you are, you can take that into a job. You can take that into a relationship. You can take that into a friendship. You can take that into a business. Knowing your value, you can apply that everywhere, right? But a lot of us, we have been holding on to a word that has not suited us. And now it's time for you to exchange it, to hold on to a word that allows you to grow, that nourishes you. You might have held on previously to the word failure, but now you're holding on to success. You might have held on to the word I can't, but now you're holding on to I can and I will, right? Because it's not just enough for us to say I can. We now have to shift from I can to I will. Because what gets done in our life is your will. What you're willing to do every day is what gets done in your life, right? And Dr. Toni, as you're talking and you're talking about the words that has been spoken through our life, so our life has been built one word at a time.
Mm-hmm.
We have been saying yes and no to words. I accept, I don't accept. You pass, I accept. I fail, I accept. You have been accepting words along the way. So now we have to understand what word is residing in you
Yes.
and what power have you given it. Because there's a such thing as you giving the wrong word the power. Well, now we have to give the right word the power.
Mm.
So there has to be a shift, but the only way to do that is, again, clarity. How do you know when something is the wrong word for you? Because that energy does not match.
Mm.
If
Mm.
somebody told you you can't do this and your energy went immediately south, your higher self did not agree with that. That energy did not match. If somebody told you I loved you and then hit you, that energy did not match.
Mm. Go ahead, Tichet. Say that again.
You know what I mean? If somebody just walked away from you, just walked out on you, no word, ghosted you, that energy did not match.
Mm-hmm.
The words you say to yourself has to match that energy. So it's not enough to just repeat affirmation. You got to feel the energy of those affirmations. I
Mm.
can do all things.
Oh. Mm. That's
You got to feel the energy of all your affirmations.
yeah.
I am beautiful. I am worthy. I am successful. I am loved. You
Mm.
know, you have to feel the energy of that, not just say it. But let me tell you something. If you're in a starting point and you're just starting out saying affirmations, keep saying them till you feel them.
Yes.
Keep saying them. Because you say something so many times, eventually you're going to believe it, whether it's the truth or a lie. So
Mm.
you got to be careful of what you're repeating in your head over and over again. You got to be careful of what words run through your mind over and over and over again. What's becoming your truth?
Mm-hmm.
Your truth, when you expose yourself to your truth, it will show you what you believe. It'll show up in your habits. It'll show up in your responses. And therefore, it's going to show up in your consequences. It's going to show up in your results. when you have a word that circulates consistently through your mind, it's
Mm.
going to show up in your results. It's going to
Mhm.
show up in your thought. It's going to show up in your heart, and it's you just going to keep circulating it
Mhm.
from your heart to your mouth to your to it out. You're going to keep circulating that same word over and over again until you decide to accept a different one, to accept the word with the right energy, to accept the right word. There are some words that were spoken over you that had power, but you have yet to receive it. Why? Because the word that didn't have power was blocking it. We got to get that out of the way so we can receive that. Yes, you are a manifester.
Mhm.
You are a successful author. You are a Grammy Award winner.
Mm.
You are in love with your soulmate. You have a business that is thriving. You have more than enough to do all that you need to do. You know what I mean? We have to begin to see what's been circulating in our mind, because that it's sometimes it's that one word that keeps circulating. For
Mhm.
me, mine was I can't,
Mm.
until I realized I could. And
Yeah.
then I did.
Mm.
And yes, I did. But I had to have a shift in that identity of the person who can't to the person who did.
Mhm.
That's a different energy that you thrive on.
Yes.
Because a person that I can't will do stuff and they be hunched over, okay, and you do it halfway and you don't quite get the results that you wanted, right? You
Mhm.
do it half in half energy, and so it doesn't. You end up settling for it's okay. I just make do. But when you do it with I can, I will, I'm gonna get this done. You watch me energy.
Mhm.
Not only are you going to do it, but you're going to add some stuff to it. You're going to have the burger, the bread, the condiments, the lettuce, the tomatoes, the onions, all of that. You're going to have all of the toppings on that thing.
Yes.
And so you have to understand who you are as a person, but what word shaped you.
Mm.
Because that's important. When you
Mhm.
see which word shaped you, did somebody prophesy over you years ago that you held on to? Did somebody give you an affirmation that you need to accept? Did they give you an affirmation that you did accept? And that's what been keeping you through. Because see, everybody ain't going through pain.
Yeah.
There are some people who are living in power. There are some people who are living and thriving. But there's also people who are living in pain, and there's people who want to come out of pain. And that's what we're here for. We're here for every stage of life. If you're just going in the break, we're here for you. If you're going through a break, we're here for you. If you're coming out of a break, we're here for you. And if you're living beyond the break, we're here for you.
Mhm.
Because each and every level needs a word for sustaining.
Yes.
Every level needs a word.
Mhm.
And that word matters so much because that word is going to shape our habits. It's going to shape our responses. It's going to shape our energy. It's going to shape how we do things. It's going to shape our beliefs. It's going to shape it all.
Mhm.
Dr. Tony, you said anything loses power. You said if you said anything loses power can't stop you. Anything that loses power can't stop you. And we have to understand that. Words have power when it's accepted,
Yeah.
right? If I say you ain't nothing but a cheese and cracker, you might not accept it unless in the back of your mind that little word cheese and cracker has been standing out. Then you be
Yeah.
like, now this is the second person that can call me a cheese and cracker. I might, I'm a little bit offended,
Mm.
right? But if you know that you're not a cheese and cracker, you be like, oh, you crazy. What are you talking about?
Yeah. That's
You
right.
will write it off. It wouldn't even be planted. You wouldn't even give it another thought in your life. So
Mhm.
you have to look at the words that did affect you. Did they stir up something that was in the pot?
Yeah.
Because if you're stirring the pot, something has to be in that pot for you to stir it. So you have to bring to the forefront what's in your pot.
Mhm.
What words are remaining in your pot that got stirred up? So then when somebody come and they say something off the wall and it stirred you up in the worst way, what was in your pot? If somebody came and said something great and it stirred you up in the right way, what was in the pot? because we can be walking around with all sorts of things. But clarity will allow us to understand that we are living with power. A lot of times you might have thought a lot of your failures were it. That was it. That was the end of you. But it wasn't. It was actually the beginning of you. It was the renewing of your life. It was the exposing of your power. It showed you what you wanted by showing you what you didn't want. You would have never pursued that had you not failed at that. You might have been bored at the thing you was trying to force yourself to succeed at. Right? We all want success, and it's good, but success and failure to me is a judgment. Right? Because you don't fail unless you give up. There's no failure. There is no failure. You did not fail at anything. You tried some things and it didn't work out. That's it. You tried some things and it did not give the result that you thought it was going to give. But if you didn't give up, you did not fail. And the same thing with success. You tried some things and it worked out. It worked out for good. It worked out and it was a good result. And so you didn't get stuck in that. You just allowed yourself to keep going in those, what we call successes. But if you're a person that's judging yourself by success or failure, let's take those words off the table. And let's just say this didn't work out and that did. Let's take the judgment off the table, right? A lot of you out there, you can believe in successes and failure all you want. Have fun with it, right? I have some successes, I have some failure. But if you're a person that is judging whether or not your life is a failure or a success, take it off the table. You tried some things and it didn't work. That's it. So try some other stuff. You can't be afraid to try other stuff just because that did not work out. Just because that relationship did not work out, that job did not work out, that business did not work out, that home life did not work out, that mindset did not work out, does not mean that this life over here that's calling you is not going to work out. Give yourself a fighting chance. Allow yourself to see that life is to be experienced in a grand scheme of things. Life is to be experienced. We got these physical bodies with these five senses: taste, touch, smell, hearing, and see, so we can explore the creative. So we can enjoy all the things that are created. Why would I get stuck on that one thing that did not work out when there's so much more for me to explore? You haven't begun to scratch the surface of what your life can be yet. You don't have to remain miserable at all. And you don't have to get stuck on your last successes. There's more successes than that one success if you're a person of success and failure, right? But if you're a person that's always looking at failure, you never failed at nothing. You have the opportunity of a lifetime facing you right at this moment if you're watching this video. The opportunity of a lifetime is to change the word that you live by. Change the word that you allow to penetrate you. Find your words of affirmations that matters and ones that you want to penetrate, that you want to make a difference. Find words that are rocks that you can hold on to. Don't hold on to nothing that's falling with you. Hold on to something stable. There's everything stable about I will. There's nothing stable about I can't. I can't. When you holding on to I can't, you are falling with the stick. The stick, you're hanging off the edge, and the stick come falling. You're holding on to the I can't stick, and it's falling with you. Hang on to the rock. I will. And see how far you get with I will. And let's say some things don't work out when you say I will. That's all it is. It just didn't work out. That's like being in a chemistry class and having two beakers, and you put one chemical into the other, and it doesn't give the right color, and you get so upset about it not getting the color you thought it was going to have, and you beat yourself over the head for it. That one time in chemistry class, it just was supposed to turn red and it turned blue. I can't do this. I can't do this chemistry stuff, I don't have the patience. I just, maybe it's just not for me. Maybe I just can't, and then you lay down and you're crying and you see other people then turned it a different color and you see they didn't got it and you didn't got it and you're judging yourself because somebody else got their outcome and you haven't seen your outcome yet. But your outcome is here. And how do you not know that's not even, that might not have been the outcome that was good for you? The outcome that was good for you is what you got going on now that you have changed your perception. That journey shift, when your journey shift because of your perception, that outcome is an amazing story. That outcome is everything. It's everything you need. And so what happens is you begin to look at all of your past decisions and you begin to be grateful for that because it created this you that created something greater that you never thought you could create. There's no failure. It all works out in the end. And there's nothing to fear but fear itself. So you have to be mindful of all the words that's within you. All the things that you have been building, layer, brick by brick, word by word, brick by brick. You're building yourself word by word. People said all kinds of things to you. You have accepted all kinds of things. There's some things you have to keep and some things you have to let go. You have to have the intuition and the discernment to know when to do whichever one. Because it's not one size fit all. You can't say everybody has the same word. The word that applies to me might not apply to you, and that should be okay. You shouldn't have to live by my word if your word is greater for you. Your word has power too.
Yes.
So does your agenda. So does your desires and your vision. Your vision has just as much power. It might not be on my road. So that's why we have to understand, it's important that we understand who we are individually, uniquely, and have some self-acceptance and have some self-care, nurture ourselves. It's important that we do so because we carry a word in our heart that matters and that makes a difference. And we want to make sure that when we get to the place where we get to share that word, that we give it the right energy and the right power so that when we go to pull it out there, in the right way, where we're not just trying to force our word on people. We're not just trying to force it with the wrong energy. You're trying to tell somebody to be a doctor and they don't even like blood. You're saying you have to do it because that's successful. You have to be a lawyer because that's successful. You have to be a doctor, that's successful. You're telling them if you like to heal people, then perhaps being a doctor might work. If you like to advocate for people, then perhaps being a lawyer might work. If you like to work with your hands, then perhaps working with tools and being a mechanic or being a engineer might help, right? You want to work in your strength and you want to outsource your weaknesses so that when things are being built, even, and look, Dr. Toni, that goes with building houses. You outsource your weaknesses. You call for an electrician if you're not an electrician. But me, I could put some flooring in, but I can't mess with I beat and electrified myself. Electrocuted myself. Yes, I electrify myself all the time. But I beat and electrocuted myself. So you outsource your weaknesses and you work in your power. And so that gives you the balance of getting both done. But if your ego is in the way and you don't allow yourself to outsource, you'll block the strength that needs to come in for your weaknesses. So you have to be open to allowing people who has the strength in that area to help you. But it's going to take a humility for you and the ability to see that just because they are strong in that does not diminish your strength. You still have strength. Everybody don't have strength in everything.
Yes.
That's one of the things I like to tell my daughter. There's people out here, we all are figuring it out as we go.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody does not know everything. We are not expected to. And this idea of perfection is an illusion.
Mm-hmm.
It's a lie. There's no perfection, and we all can't live up. We can't live up to perfection. We can just live up to progress. That should be good enough. Live up to progress, being in progress for yourself, for your higher self. But that all comes from having a word in you and having that understanding of that word. Back to you, Dr. Tony.
Mm, that's phenomenal. Phenomenal. Tichet, you said we have given the wrong word our power. And we can also give the right word. You say it's time for us to also give the right word our power. You know, attractive thinkers, when we talk about, because this is what triggered this conversation right here for me when you said, if someone hits you and says they love you, that energy does not match. You said you can't just say affirmations, you have to feel it. So when I was describing words earlier, I said that they were sounds that had meaning. So if someone hits you and says, I love you, what kind of meaning are those words giving you? You know, you said you have to match the energy. You said you can't just say affirmations, you have to feel it. So since words come with a feeling, because that's why you received it in the first place, because when you heard it, you felt it. When you heard it, it did something to you on the inside. When you heard it, you knew it was the truth. When you heard it, you knew it was an answer. And when you heard it, that weight lifted. That's how you knew that that was a word for you. And this is your word for today, attractive thinker and visual encourager. I want you to understand going forward, and you can activate this and implement this even now as you're listening to this message and after you listen to this message. When you hear words, pay attention to how they make you feel. Like Tashet said, if they don't lift your spirit, if they don't remove the weight, if you don't feel lighter and more hopeful in life, then that may not be the word for you. But if you hear a word and it ignites a fire inside of you and it gives you hope to move on and to overcome the situation and circumstances may not change, but now you have an overcomer's attitude and you can face it differently. You get a different perspective, a new angle on it. That's a word not only for you, but a word that you can hold on to and a word that you can use. If it helps you overcome one obstacle, it will help you overcome many others. I can't begin to tell you how many words I've had to hold on to that really helped me overcome challenges that were seemingly impossible for me to overcome. All because I had a word. You know, people will ask you sometimes, like, what helped you overcome that? Well, how did you get through that? You don't know what people are thinking in order to overcome certain things. You don't know what they're believing or how they're perceiving the situation. You looking from the outside may see it as a mountain, to overcome, but the person who's going through it may not see it as that. And that's why they're getting through what can destroy others. How many times have you heard somebody say, I don't know how you got through that, or I don't know if I could have done that? That's because you're looking at it from your perception and you have no idea what kind of roots are in the person who is overcoming this challenge. I want you to always remember this, attractive thinker and visual encourager. How you see you and how other people see you are two different visions. So I'm saying this because when you feel like you're down for the count and you're out of the game and you can't go any further, there's someone who sees you as the best thing that has ever happened to them. There's someone who sees you as a champion. There's someone who sees you and is hopeful that you will overcome this challenge because they need to see you reach the other side of this in order to give them hope. I want you to understand how you see you and how other people see you are two different visions. It's two different perceptions. I've had that experience. On one hand, I was facing a challenge that had me in tears. And in the same hour, I'm on the phone encouraging someone who didn't even know I was wiping my face on the other side of the phone just to help them. They're calling me, telling me how wonderful I am, and I'm sitting here facing a challenge that has the potential to wipe me out. How can that be true? How can that exist? It's all about perception. It's all about your perception. It's all about the word that you heard that you decided to receive, hold on, and use in your life. You could use a bad word, like Tichet said. We have given the wrong word the power. You can give the wrong word your power. But now it's time to shift and give the right word your power, because we all have power. You're using it for something. Why not use it for the right word? A word that makes you feel fantastic and amazing. A word that lifts your spirit. Not a word that just makes you feel a certain way, but a word that backs the devil up off of you. A word that lifts the weight. A word that helps you square your shoulders instead of slumping over as you walk throughout life. You want that kind of word. You want to receive that kind of word. That's the kind of word that you can use and whip your challenges back in line and make things back up off of you and push the boundaries back. That's the power in a word, but you have to use it. You just like the word that you hear has power, the words that you speak have that same kind of power, not just in other people's lives, but in your life. When you can't see your way and it seems dark and the day seems longer, I want you to understand the day seems longer in your challenges. I want you to understand it's the words that you say that can make all the difference in the world. It's the words that you say that can help you get through these challenges. It's the words that you say that can make the challenge go away. Every challenge that you're presented with doesn't mean that it's something you have to go through. Maybe you're getting to the point where, as you're becoming more stronger, as you will learn to speak and make things move out of your way. Maybe you're getting to the point where, as you learn the power of your own words, because see, Tisha, I've said that so many times, things presented, see, as I grow and mature in this attractive thinker journey, things present themselves to me, and there are some things I just won't tolerate anymore. I'm not doing that. I've already been through that. I'm not going through that again. No, that's not going to play full out in my life no more. No, it's not going to take me 5 or 10 years. No, have patience, or you're learning and grow. No, I'm not going to learn and grow in this anymore. I've already done that. But see, if you haven't grown to that point and you're not having the correct adopting the correct perception concerning your challenges, you can find yourself going through the same thing over and over and over, thinking that you deserve it, thinking that maybe it's another lesson I need to learn, thinking that, it's something else that's going to enhance my path. No, you can say no to certain things. You can use your power and say, no, this is not how this is going to play out. This is what's going to happen. And speak what you want to happen in this particular situation. We're going to expedite this process. We're going to get through this with victory. We're coming out with flying colors. We're coming out with flow and ease and joy and happiness. There will be no losses. No weapons formed against us are going to prosper in this. We're coming out with all of our arms and legs, our hair and our teeth, because we're conquerors. We're not defeated. We're not victims. We are victors in this process. And you might say, well, Dr. Toni, I would like to be able to speak to my challenges and they go away like that. What I would say to you is this: you grow to that level, and only you can determine when you're there. Only you, because see, you're there when you're faced with a challenge and words come out of your spirit that you didn't intend, and you rebuke it, and you cancel it, and you defeat it, and you deny it, and you don't accept it and receive it into your life. That's when you know you're there, and only you will know when you're there. You're there when enough is enough. Is enough really enough right now? Only you can determine that. Is enough pain? Have you suffered and gone through enough? Is enough pain and suffering happening, has happened in your experience for you to say that enough is enough? How much more pain do you have to experience before you can say enough is enough? How much more suffering? So when do you get to the point where, as you shift from the season of suffering to the season of prosperity and abundance and joy and laughter and happiness and meaning and fulfillment and contentment? When do you shift those seasons? Because see, I've had to draw the line on the seasons in my life. I said, I'm done with the season of suffering. I was so suffering from a little child through religion. And if it wasn't suffering, it felt kind of weird. Like, because if you're going to teach suffering, then it's wrong to be happy because we're supposed to be suffering, remember? So I drew a line and I said, I'm done with the season of suffering. And I had to divorce suffering and I had to disconnect from suffering. I had to let everything that was attached to suffering go. And then there's a period of time in your life where you got to get used to feeling good. You got to get used to taking action and things working out in your favor. You got to get used to feeling good. You got to get used to success. You got to get used to good things happening to you and let that be your normal. It's just the way your life is. It's just the way it is. Oh, a blessing over there, a blessing. Oh, wow. Well, that's just the way it is. That's just life. Because if you can get used to suffering, you can get used to the blessing. It's just a matter of which word do you believe in more? Because suffering comes with the word suffering comes with its own energies. And the word prosperity comes with its own energies. Which one feels like the one that you need in your life right now to help you reach your goals? Tichet, tell our audience how they can get in touch with you, the visual encourager.
Absolutely. You can find me on my website at www.visualencouragement.com. We provide mental support for movers and shakers, for trailblazers, pathfinders, and groundbreakers. All you visionaries who desire to move mountains but need help lifting the heaviness so that you can create a new vision for yourself. Go to my contact us page, put in your information, let me know how I can uplift you, enlighten you, and encourage you so that you can live a life of fulfillment beyond a break. Again, that's www.visualencouragement.com. See you soon.
Awesome. Attractive thinkers and visual encouragers, we trust that you have received your word for today, which you will hold on to and use tomorrow and the next day and the next day and the next day until you reach your goals, because all it takes is one word. Remember, listen to this message again, rewind the video, listen to this message again, take out your attractive thinker notebook, take notes, go over your notes, and then take more notes, because there are more gems that you may capture along the way. I'm sure there are more gems that dropped that you did not catch, but you'll catch them the second time. And when you listen to it again, attractive thinker, that word that you heard is going to take root. Now you're growing roots. Now you're getting stronger. Now you're becoming this word that you heard, and you're able to use it when you're facing challenges. The challenges may not be external, they may be internal challenges like doubt and fear and shame and guilt. They'll raise their little heads as well and try and stop you from reaching your goal. But remember to say the word. Say the word. Say the word, because with the word, words aren't just letters, they are sounds that have meaning and power and feeling and intent. Words can destroy the challenges. Words can push back things and bring in things. I trust that you have held on to and will use the words that you heard today. Dr. Toni Hatton, your identity coach and get to the root specialist at theattractivethinker.guru. You always hear us say our life's work, that's to make your life better. Remember, it's not what you're going through, it's how you're viewing it. Think attractively. We will see you soon.